Hello students and welcome to the e-learning program initiated by Shri Gyanmanjari Vidyapeeth for the students of Standard 10, in which we are learning the subject of English. Students, we have started with the revision work of the main book, that is First Flight, in which we have already taken 3 revision lectures, where in the first revision lecture we completed the revision of chapter number 1. Then we took 2 lectures for chapter number 2, which is one of the toughest chapter in the entire syllabus because of the vocabulary. Now we start with revision work of chapter number 3. This is revision lecture 4, from where we start with chapter number 3. Chapter number 3 includes 2 short stories on flight. One is, the first part is regarding the seagull who learns to fly for the first time, and second is a mystery story regarding a flight that gets lost in the storm and is miraculously saved by an unknown plane. And this is the revision work that we are going to do today. So now let us start with our revision work. We'll start with chapter number 3.1, that is His First Flight, written by Lamb of Lahati. The first flight, his first flight. There, a seagull, a baby seagull, is trying to learn how to fly, but it is very afraid of the height at which it is. The rest of the siblings, that means the other seagulls who had hatched from the eggs and had grown up along with him, they learned for the first time how to fly the previous day. But because this young seagull faced some difficulty, when we started with this lecture, we understood what is the meaning of ledge and what is the meaning of cliff. So this seagull is on a cliff. A cliff is directly falling into the sea. So these seagulls, they don't make a nest of themselves. They just find a small hole in the cliff, and because they have to spend the night, rest of the day they keep flying over the sea trying to catch fish and find some landing near the sea, on the seashore or on some rock which is amidst the sea. So they sit over there, they have their food, they go to sleep in the sun, the warmth, and when it is night they find some hole and they spend the night. So the parents of the seagull, they had laid the eggs quite high on the cliff, on a small cave-like hole, where the eggs can be kept safe, right? So there they had laid the eggs, and after the eggs had hatched, the baby seagulls, after they grew up to a certain size, now it is the correct time to start flying, because up till now the parents, seagull parents, they were feeding these young birds, but now they should learn to fly first, then learn to catch the fish, then learn to eat the fish properly, keep on sharpening the beak, and how to stay away from predators, from bigger birds. And there were lots of things to be learned from the parents. But this particular young seagull is very afraid of diving from the ledge, diving from the cliff for the first time, and that is the only thing which forbids the seagull from learning its first flight. So the young seagull was all alone on his ledge. His two brothers and his sister had already flown away the day before. One day before, they already dived from the cliff and spread their wings and started gliding. Instead of falling, they started gliding because now the wings are at the full stretch and air comes under the wings and makes them glide. So they already learned that. He had been afraid to fly with them. Even yesterday he was very afraid. He would go near the ledge, at the end of the ledge, and when he looked down, he was afraid of the height, because if he looked down, that was hundreds and hundreds of feet down for him. And when he looked up, he saw the vast expanse of sea, water. So he was very much afraid of that thing, that what happens if I fall down, right? So that way a baby can never learn to walk if it doesn't take the risk of standing up and taking few steps. Once that baby takes one or two steps, then automatically he grows with the confidence that yes, I can stand up on my own, I can take one or two steps. So next time he is going to try some more. Yes, and parents also keep on forcing the child to stand up on his own, to walk a few steps, so that the confidence grows, and then a very short time you can see that little baby boy or baby girl just running and dashing here and there. It is because of that first risk that he took while standing up. The legs were shivering because it is the first time the body is on the legs. The weight of the body is on the legs and the legs are shivering because it's the first time. But when the legs get accustomed, then what happens? The legs automatically don't feel the weight of the body and they just walk, taking body with it. So that is for humans. Now what happens over here? Somehow he had taken a run forward. Now it's not that the bird had not tried. He would go back into the cave and from there he would run. But as soon as he comes near the ledge, he stops. Break like that, and then he stops over there and he just cannot dive into the gap in front of him. Attempted to flap his wings, but he was very afraid that his wings are so small and it wouldn't be able to bear the weight. It wouldn't be able to take the weight. And what happens if the wings don't open up at all? So he had many doubts in his mind and he was not able to fly. The great expanse of sea stretched down beneath that was just a long way down. And when he saw down, yes, he braked himself. Yes, speed brake karke he reached near the edge of the cliff, and then when he looked down, it's hundreds and hundreds of feet below. Yes, so he was, first thing is, afraid of the height. He felt certain that his wings would never support him. By the way, the legs, now for the birds the legs are just for perching and for jumping up to take the flight, right, or to walk short distance. Otherwise these birds, they are usually in the air, they don't have much work for the legs. But now when he is walking, when he is running, the legs feel the weight of the body and he thinks that perhaps my weight is too much, and suppose what happens if I spread my wings, stretch my wings, but then my wings they are not able to support the weight of my body. Then what happens? Wings, they will stretch, but because of the weight, body will be lower and wings will be turned upwards. That way, that will be a straight fall in the sea. And so he bent his head. That shows low confidence. Yes, that shows low confidence. That is why when we are feeling guilty or something like that, when somebody asks us something, right, whether you did this or not, you feel guilty, and when you bend down your head, it means yes, you did something wrong, and that is acceptance, and that shows low confidence, right? So he ran back to the little hole under the ledge where he slept at night. Yeah, usually in the night where he slept, inside that hole in that's a small cave inside the cliff. So there he went and he as though shut himself down over there, that no, I cannot fly and I will never be able to fly that way. Even when each of his brothers and his lesser sisters, whose wings were far shorter than him, ran to the brink, flapped their wings and threw themselves into the air, and they flew away. That is how the seagulls, they learn to fly. They just jump. When they jump, they go down, their wings are closed, then the wings automatically open up. Yes, so this is way the two brothers and the sister, his siblings, they learned to fly. They just ran up to the ledge and threw themselves out into the gap open air and flapped their wings and started flying. But he failed to muster up courage, gather up courage to take that plunge, dive, which appeared to him so much desperate. Now he was very desperate. Why? Because since last night he had eaten nothing. Because the parents, they stopped giving him food. Yes, nature is just like that. Yes, once you grow up, even the parents will leave you. Yes, now you are grown up, you feed on your own. Yes, you work hard and you feed on your own. Nobody is going to keep on feeding you forever. So, for these wildlife creatures, etc., very soon they are up on their legs, and these birds, very soon they learn to fly and they start searching for their own food, and they are independent. That is how nature works. So the parents also, till a certain time, they keep on feeding these baby birds, and then when the time is ripe for them to learn how to fly, once they learn to fly, the next thing they have to learn is find their own food, right? So the parents didn't give him any food. The siblings, they learned how to fly. They even learned how to catch fish, and all of them are enjoying in the air or below on some rock taking the sun bath. But this little seagull is trapped on the ledge of the cliff. His father and mother had come around calling. It's not that the parents didn't encourage him. The parents, both of them, the male seagull and the mother seagull, both of them, they came now and then. Again they came to the ledge and kept flying, flapping their wings and staying over there in the air. They called on him, yes, come out, but he was too much afraid to just go out of that hole. Shrilly upbraiding him, that is scolding him, threatening him to let him starve. Yes, bird language, we are not here to understand that, but at least we can understand the way the parents are behaving with the young seagull. Yes, they are continuously cawing at him and asking him to come and jump in the air and start flying and find your own fish and find your own food. Yes, we are not going to supply, because many times both mother and father both had come over there, but they didn't bring any piece of fish in their mouth to feed him. That clearly shows that now we are not going to feed you. Now if you want to feed yourselves, first jump, first dive, learn your flying and find your own food. Yes, but we are here to encourage you. The parents, very thoughtful. They don't leave the young seagull unless he flew away, but for the life of him, he could not move. He was so much in love with himself that he is not able to throw himself in the air. So for the life of him, that means he is so desperate to live, he will ignore his hunger, he will ignore his starvation, but he wants to live. But to live, we need to eat. That was 24 hours ago. Since then, he had not seen anybody come near him. Yesterday, the siblings came. Yesterday, parents came. Today, nobody bothered about him, because mother and father, they have a lot to teach to those two brothers and sisters of this young seagull who are already flying. They need to teach them how to take curves in the air, how to glide, how to go upwards towards the sun, because seagulls are very famous for that. Yes, all alone, they just fly towards the sun. Yes, so seagulls are quite famous for that, right? So the parents, they have lots of responsibility already to teach lots of things to the birds who have already learned to fly, right? The day before, all day long, he had watched his parents flying with his brothers and sisters, perfecting them in the act or art of flight. Yes, the siblings, they are going to follow the parents, the way the parents take curves and go towards any of the sides, up and down, and the way they glide. The young seagulls who have just learned flying, they also fly behind the parents and learn how to glide in the air and how to catch fish. teaching them how to skim the waves. That is a very important thing for the seagulls, because seagulls, they fly quite high above in the sea, and they keep watching where lots of fish are there. Then they dive towards it, and they just fly just above the surface of the seawater, and they fly on the surface, skim. That means without touching the water, they just skim over it, and when the right moment is there, when they see one of the fish coming upwards, they dive into the water, catch the fish with their beak or with their legs, and just fly away and eat that fish. So skim over the waves and how to dive for the fish. He had in fact seen his elder brother catch his first fish, that is herring. Herring is a type of fish, and devour. Devour means enjoying, eating it, standing on a rock, as we just discussed, right? These seagulls, after they catch the fish, they find a small rock that is protruding out of the sea water, and they sit over there, and the fish, after some time, it's going to be dead, right? And they enjoy that fish by keeping one leg over it and cutting small pieces of the fish, and they gulping it down, eating it. So he, from the top of the cliff, on the ledge, he can see his older brother. He not only learned how to fly, he also learned how to skim over the water and catch his first fish, that is a herring that he had caught, right? And then he circled the water, above the water, and he found a small rock protruding out of the water, and he went and sat over there, and he is now very deliciously enjoying his first catch, and he's eating whatever he has caught for the first time. Yes, and he's eating that fish. So he can see it from there. And when a person is hungry and food is in front of him, then you get more hungry. Your appetite grows. Yes, the way we go into the bazaar and all that, yes, we are a little bit hungry, and we have that aroma, smell in the air, fresh jalebis and etc. It goes into the nostrils. Yeah, we feel so tempting, the mouth starts watering, and we feel more hungry, right? So that is what happens to this young seagull sitting on the top. He looks at his brother devouring or eating that fish with lots of delicacy, right? And from the top, his mouth is watering. Now he is more desperate, because since last night he has eaten nothing. And his parents circled around, raising a proud cackle. Yes, cackle, a song made by the bird, seabird. So the parents, they are, for them it is the most happiest of the moment, because their children, they have learned to fly, and the children have learned how to catch fish, and this is the moment that each parent is very, very happy to enjoy, that the children in front of them, they are flying without any difficulty. They are able to catch their own fish, and they are eating on their own. The responsibility of the parents, it's complete over here. So they are very happy to see their children in such a happy mood. And all the morning, whole family had walked about on that big plateau midway down the opposite cliff, taunting him with his cowardice. How many are there? Mother, father, 2 brothers and sister, 5 of them, flying in the air, each one in all different directions, diving, gliding, climbing, soaring high. Yes, again diving deep into the air and skimming over the seawater and trying to catch the fish, caught the fish, and all of them are eating, enjoying, and all of them keep on looking back at that young seagull and keep on taunting him that, look, you can also do this, but you don't want to jump. So that is his cowardice that they are taunting at. The sun was now ascending in the sky, more trouble for him. As the sun keeps on climbing, the heat increases, and heat increases the hunger, right? So blazing on the ledge that faced the south, he felt the heat because he had not eaten since the previous night. For 24 hours he had not eaten anything, and now the heat is increasing. Heat is there outside also, heat is there inside also, because the stomach is craving for food, yearning for food, just calling out for food, and the stomach also is getting hotter and hotter. It feels very warm inside because the stomach is empty and it wants food. So heat outside, heat inside, and now he's desperate. He stepped slowly out to the brink of the ledge and standing on one leg and pretending that he has gone to sleep. His wing closed one eye and then the other and pretended to be falling asleep. Yes, the usual standing pose of the seagull, that they fold one of the legs inside and they stand on one leg and they close their eyes and they pretend as if they have gone to sleep, and the fish comes near and they can grab it. So it's a very natural behavior of the seagull. Still they took no notice of him. He is pretending over here as if he has gone to sleep and he is not hearing them, so that they will come near at least with a small bit of food in their beaks. He saw his two brothers and his sister Plato dozing with their heads sunk into their necks. Now both the brothers, sister, all of them, they had their food and now their belly is full and the sun is climbing upwards. The atmosphere has become warm. They are on the rock, the plateau, or the very big piece of rock which is coming out of the sea, right? They are lying on top of it and they are enjoying the warmth of the sun, and their belly is full. And now from morning they have been flying, so it has tired them, and now they are resting, dozing off. His father was preening his feathers on his white back. Yes, the usual behavior of the birds, they like themselves to be neat and clean, so they'll keep on preening. Preening is with their beaks, they remove all the dust or any other particles there are in the wings and make themselves neat and clean. Only his mother was looking over here. Father, he does his work, but mother always takes care of the children in a more better way, right? So here, rest of everyone, they are quite careless. Their bellies are full, they are sleeping, somebody is cleaning feathers, all that, okay. But then mother, she is not able to have any sleep, or she is not able to doze off. Continuously, she keeps on looking at that young seagull who has not yet learned to fly. Because for birds, this is quite a danger, right? No, nobody is going to feed birds who cannot fly. They have to learn how to fly themselves and catch their own food or find their own food, right? So otherwise these birds, they will die out very soon if they do not get food. She was standing on a little high hump on the plateau, her breast thrust forward. She was standing, so when the bird stands, automatically rest of the body is in the forward position, and the beak and the breast, all of them in the forward position, right, and looking upwards toward that young girl. She tore a piece of fish that lay at her feet. Now she's really caring and loving, and she can't see the little child, that is the baby seagull. She knows that that baby seagull has not eaten since last night and must be quite hungry. She cannot see her children starving. So beneath her feet is a fish from which she was eating. She takes a big chunk of it with the help of her beak and then flies towards the young seagull. Scrapped each side of the beak on the rock. The sight of the food maddened him. How he loved to tear food that way, scraping his beak now and then again to wet it to make sharpen it. Ga ga ga, he cried, begging her to bring him some food. So from the top of the cliff he is shouting on the top of his voice, so that the mother listens and brings her some food. So another reply comes from mother. screamed back derisively, maddening just like him, that if you want your food, just dive over there, then you automatically you will fly. You are a bird. Yes, you will never fall down, because automatically the wings, they are going to spread, and that will break your fall, and you are going to fly. But he kept calling plaintively. Yes, he heard the mother, what the mother said, but he is not really he is not in position to hear anything from his mother, because he wants food desperately. And after a minute or so, the mother understood that the young seagull is quite hungry, and he will learn. Today, no, tomorrow, the younger seagull is going to learn. He is going to fly. Right now, my child is hungry. So the mother bird, flies towards the young seagull with a scrap of fish in her beak. And seeing the mother coming towards him with some food, this seagull, he is so desperate, he is jumping over there. His mother had picked up a piece of fish and was flying towards him with it. He leaned out eagerly. Yes, he was so desperate that he started stretching outside and trying to keep the beak open and trying to take that piece of fish from the mother's beak. And he was leaning forward, tapping the rock with his feet. Here it is said tapping, but we can understand that he is tapping both the feet turn by turn, and actually he is dancing with joy, because now the food is very near to him. And trying to get nearer to her as she flew across. But when the mother came very near the ledge, she kept on hovering. Hovering is when you stay at one place and still you're flying, right? So the mother kept on hovering over there, flapping, but just out of reach, so that the seagull has to dive in order to take the fish. So his wings motionless, the piece of fish in his beak almost within the reach of his beak. So the mother's beak was so near that he would stretch a little bit and can take the fish. He waited, and in a moment of surprise, wondering why mother is not coming near, then let me go towards the mother. So he dives, and he forgets that that was the last step. After that, the cliff ends, and one of his feet is already out of the cliff. So automatically he has to take the another out to balance it out, and then both the feet are out of the cliff, and gravity does its work, and he is freely falling down. Yes, in trying to catch the piece of fish from the mother's beak, he forgot that if he dives, he's going to fall off. He forgot that, and exactly that was exactly what the mother wanted. The mother was pretending that she is giving him a scrap of fish, but actually just a little bit away, so that the young seagull has to dive for it. And once he dives, rest is history. With a loud scream, he fell outwards. Now, because he has jumped, so he is falling outward, and then downward. Downwards into space. Then monstrous terror seized him. He is out. Now, there is no earth, there is no ground beneath his feet. He is completely in the air. He could hear nothing, because gravity is doing its work. His weight is pulling him down towards the earth, and that's a free fall down. But it lasted only a minute. It's nature doing its work. So when the bird nature realizes that it's a free fall, automatically the wings open up. The same thing, even when, of course, all of us, we have now learned running, walking, everything, right? But what happens when we stumble? When we stumble, automatically you don't have to tell your leg, just take one more big stretch from your leg and reach forward so that you stop your fall, right? It happens automatically. Same way, bird nature, right? Instincts tell the bird that spread the wings, and the wings are spread. When the wings are spread, air comes below it and the bird goes up. So that stops the fall. The bird is falling freely from the sky. When the wings are open, the fall is stopped, and when the wings are fully stretched, air comes below it and the bird glides instead of falling. So now the bird is going forward and downward. Against the wind rushed the description given by the author is very, very good from here. The wind rushed against his breast feather and down the wing, and then under his stomach, that is down below the wing, and against his wing. He could feel the tips of his wings cutting through the air headlong now. So he was not following headlong. Headlong means head first. Yes, now he wasn't falling head down. Now his head was going outwards. He was soaring gradually downwards and outwards. The fall stops, but then it becomes slow. So he is still going downwards, but then he is also going outwards. And now it is not headlong because the head has taken another direction. He was no longer afraid. Because of that fall, everything was going round and round, but now the situation was under control. He now knew the second he knew that he wasn't falling now. His fall had stopped and now he's gliding. Then he flapped his wings once and soared upwards. Now he's very happy and giving out those bird sounds, ga ga ga. Mother swooped past him. Mother is also happy because this is exactly what she wanted, right? She was just pretending that she is giving food to the little seagull, but then actually she was just an inch away from his reach. He had to dive. When he dives, he forgets and he falls. So swoop past him. Now it's time the seagull needs to learn flying. So swooping, yes, when the bird takes curve and glides cutting the air, that's called swooping. Making a loud noise, he answered the mother again with another scream. Then the father also came to know that the last one also has now started flying, so he also joins. And then the brother and sister, all of them come to know about it, and all of them, they jump from their positions and they are up in the air. Sister also flying around him, curveting. Yes, you take a sudden curve. Yes, that is again nature of the birds. They take sudden curves, right? That's called curveting. Curveting and banking and soaring and diving. Banking, they curve and they stop in the air. Then they take another direction. Yes, sweeping, swooping, and soaring and diving. Soaring is going higher, diving is going down. Usually the wings are closed so that the dive becomes faster. All of a sudden they spread their wings and again they stop the fall and go upwards. That's called soaring. So different ways of flying. They are now taught by the parents, brothers, sister, those who have already learnt. Then he completely forgot that he had not always been able to fly and commended himself to dive and soar and cow. Well, now he is trying out all the types of diving, right? And shrieking very happily. He was near the sea now. Now, from the height of the cliff, from the ledge where he was diving and scheming and soaring and all that, but now he is very near the sea water. So for the first time in his life, because this is the first time, so first time in his life he is so near to that water level. Over the ocean, he saw a vast he saw a vast green sea beneath him, because as the depth increases, the water turns from blue color to green color, and it depends upon the sand also, because that's refraction of the sun. So sometimes somewhere it's blue, somewhere it's green. Beneath him, with little ridges moving over it, and turned his beak sideways and cawed amusedly. So while he is still skimming over the water, learning how to skim over the water, raises a little bit, then goes down, again comes up. So he's enjoying himself thoroughly. His parents and his brothers and sisters landed on the green flooring ahead of him. So now another thing has to be taught: to float on the water. So the parents and rest of the siblings, they are flying with him, but now they have settled on the surface of the sea. And that is what he has to learn, because for the first time he is going to float on the water. So seeing them, he also does the same thing, but with a little bit difference. They were beckoning to him, calling him shrilly. He dropped his leg, because up till now he was on ground. So he knew that there is firm ground on which he can walk. So here also he raised his legs downwards and thought of walking on the water. But as soon as the legs touched the water, it sank. So he was afraid. Yes, and then the water touched the belly. As soon as the water touched the belly, The bird is very light in weight and it floats on the water. He screamed with fright and attempted to rise, but not eaten since last night, and with all this amazement and all this torture with which he wanted food, and all this exercise of learning to fly, all that had made him nervous, and he doesn't have that much strength again to come up. But he was tired and weak with hunger, and he could not rise. Exhausted by that strange exercise which he just had, his feet sank into the green sea, and then his belly touched the water, and then he sank no further. That means he was floating. He was floating on it, and around him his family was screaming, praising him for such a lovely work that he had done. After the bigs were offering him scraps of dogfish. Dogfish is a type of fish. He had made his first flight. So now everybody is so happy that the last one of the seagull child had also learned how to fly, and now all of them know that he is hungry since quite a long time, and now this exercise has taken away all the strength. So now he will learn to catch fish on his own. That's not a big deal. Yes, this birds, animals, they know how to do that, find their own food, right? So that he's going to do. Now he has learned how to fly. That's a great deal. So all of them are offering him small bits of fish because they know he is very hungry and he should be proud, and he has made the family proud because now none of the seagulls, the baby seagulls, are left behind, and everybody knows how to fly. All of them are now independent. So the parents are also, they are relieved of their burden, their responsibility. And the last line is, he made his first flight. This was the tale of the young seagull who has learned to fly for the first time in his life. So students, we come to the end of chapter 3.1, that is his first flight. Important things to note over here is the vivid description that the author has given. First is the description of the seagull on the ledge, how hungry he was, how desperate he was, how much cowardice was he showing. Actually, that's not cowardice, right? The author has termed the word cowardice, but we can say that this is not a type of cowardice. Yes, the children who are learning to walk for the first time, or the animals who are learning to walk for the first time, running, trying to catch something, prey. The birds, we know, fall lots of time from the trees, and again the mother bird or father bird comes down, picks the small baby bird, and again takes it to the branch or the nest, and again he flaps its wings again to try to fly. So some of them, they are successful, some of them, because of the fall, they die. So all of these things, they are quite natural. Here we cannot say it is the cowardice, but the author has termed the word cowardice. He is at that moment showing cowardice, so we'll accept that word whichever way it is. And that is the first situation. Next situation is, he's trying to call out for food. He's calling out to his parents, he's calling out to his siblings to give him food, but nobody comes to me. He sees all of them flying, but he also tries. Here he goes up to the ledge, but when he sees that free fall towards the sea, it's quite deep down below, and if he sees in the front, he sees a vast sea, green sea, and he's not that much courageous to take a flight or to dive into the sky. He doesn't have that much confidence. So actually it is not cowardice, but that is low confidence that he is having. The next situation is the mother who is trying in one or another way try to make the seagull fly. She comes with a very clever idea to make the seagull want the food, and in that way he will have to dive for the fish, and once he dives, he will be out in the air and he will be falling freely, and rest is nature's work. right? So this way the the mother bird comes up with a brilliant idea, or trying to pretend as if she is going to give some food, but actually she will make him fall down so that he takes the flight. So that is the second situation. The third and very, very important situation is whole of that description where the bird is falling freely. From that moment onwards, all the different ways in which he is trying to fly, learning how to fly, skimming, gliding, all that. So we have to remember the terminology, we have to understand the words over here, and use that as a vocabulary in our answer, and give a very vivid description of how the bird made his first flight till the moment he lands on the sea, with his legs sinking in the water and the water touching the belly, and then he floats. Till that time, whole of the description, that is very, very important, and it forms a very important question in this particular part of this chapter, right? So we have to be ready with it. And the last one is whole of the situation where the family is quite happy because now everybody has learned to fly, is the parents, seagull, they are quite happy to see the children, all of them, they are quite independent now, everybody knows how to fly, and now even the last one is going to learn how to catch fish, and then they are quite independent on their own, right? So nature has done its work, the parents, they have done the work, responsibility fulfilled, and now the children can be on their own. They will have to find a small hole where they will take a rest in the night, and they're quite independent now. They don't have to remain with the parents. That is the law of the nature, right? So that also is quite a good description that you have to bear in mind. So these are the 3-4 important questions that can be taken from this part of the chapter. So students, we come to an end to today's lecture. Thank you.